Welcome back to the Inside MMA podcast. I just forgot the name.
Boy.
Welcome back to the Inside MMA podcast.
Insider.
No, it's
Yeah.
just Inside.
That's not what our TikTok is.
It is.
Shit.
Welcome to the Inside MMA podcast, episode 6. We're coming off the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight. We're gonna get right into it. So, obviously, there was kind of a controversial decision that was made. It was a split decision.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that controversial. Jake Paul won by split decision. I think the fact that it was a split decision was controversial. I think Tyron only won one round, maybe two.
I'd say 2.
And Jake, not like Jake. It's not like Jake beat him up. He just won every other round.
I think Tyron actually damaged Paul more than he got damaged, but I still think he lost the fight.
My analysis of the fight is like Tyron had that one good round where he hit him into the ropes, but Jake pretty much got right back up and did what he was doing the whole time. So I don't really think like.
No, he definitely beat him good that 4th round.
Yeah, but like it didn't really do anything ultimately. It didn't slow Jake down.
Still. Jake didn't land that good of a punch against him.
True. There was one where you could see Tyron's face like right after the punch, and he was like he was tweaking.
Boy.
But honestly, like, respect to Jake Paul. He faced adversity. He went 8 rounds. Nobody had seen him do that. Respect to Tyron Woodley, because he had a strong performance after 4 weak performances in the UFC. So
You think he should get the tattoo?
I was gonna say, is him getting the tattoo selling his soul? Like, is that just like
Nah,
crossing the line?
I don't know. You could just cover it up after they fight again.
Okay. Would you get a tattoo
No.
for $2 million?
Yes. Hell
If
yes.
it said "I love Jake Paul" on it,
Yeah.
after Jake Paul just beat you?
Yeah. For $2 million.
Yeah, probably.
I'd just cover it up.
Yeah. It's still kind of like sad though.
You could just literally cover it up with another tattoo.
Did you see Jake like gave up $1 million to give to the rest of his fighters on the card?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like he really did that. I think
What do you think Jake makes?
like
From
3 or 4
these?
million
That's it?
after he gets pay-per-views. Yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe
I think more.
maybe
Definitely more.
6 or 7. I don't know.
Because
He's probably made like $20 million this year, man.
he'll make some good money in his career.
Yeah.
I think he does more than 3 or 4 million. It's
well,
boxing.
because his purse
It's
was $2
Showtime.
million, and then he gets pay-per-views. So I don't know.
That's what you
And
think his purse is.
No, it was the athletic commission put it out. It showed all the purses of the fight, and then it said Jake Paul gave $1 million from his purse to the rest of the fighters.
After the 2 million?
There was $2 million plus pay-per-view.
Oh, they both made the same.
I think. Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, it was cool though. I think it's interesting because there's such a clear business model now where it's like fight old guys who are near retirement who are compelling matchups, and it's all contextual to the fight before. So like if Jake had fought Tyron when he fought Ben Askren, and if he had fought Tyron instead, I don't think that would have made sense. But he's like climbing the ladder. So I don't even know, like, do you think he should fight Tyron again, or should he just move on?
I think he should move on. If I were Jake, I would just fight someone better, bigger and better.
Why?
Just because I feel like he already beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, I don't know. He already beat him. 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 He already beat him and he could find someone with a bigger name to propel his career even farther.
Do you think if he fought Tyron again, it would be easy work?
No, because I think actually it would be harder. I think Tyron would come out better.
Don't you think Jake would too?
Yeah, but I still think I think Tyron would have a better performance
Than he did this time, or than Jake?
than he did. I think if they rematched, Tyron would make it a much closer fight.
I look at it like they would both come better than they were in the first fight. And
If Tyron presses in that fight, he wins the fight. Anytime he was putting pressure on,
Yeah.
he was winning. He was just being too timid and scared.
why do you think
I mean,
he's like that?
DC said that. Michael Bisping said that.
Yeah.
He was winning whenever, when he was inside, he was winning.
Right.
So I just think he'd have to come out doing that and he wins. So
Something I saw was Connor has 2 fights left on his UFC contract, and then he can fight wherever. So I bring that up just because Jake Paul is constantly talking about Connor and trying to get that fight. And I think that's a pretty compelling fight, honestly. I don't know if Connor would do it. Do you think if Connor beat Jake, people would have respect for that?
I don't know. It depends on who he continues to fight. If he fights like Nate Diaz, Nate Diaz would beat his ass.
Nate Diaz would beat Connor? Or Jake?
Jake.
Yeah. I think so, yeah. Well, Jake couldn't knock out Nate Diaz.
Jake couldn't knock out Tyron Woodley.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's why it's interesting, because Connor's smaller than Tyron Woodley. But I also think Connor would just be a much more skilled boxing opponent for Jake than Tyron is. And I think Connor he would show more athleticism than Tyron did. So I think it's actually pretty compelling, because you could look at it like Tyron couldn't even beat Jake, and Tyron's 20 pounds heavier and stronger. But Connor's than Connor.
Oh.
And so now Connor's he's another UFC guy, but he's way lighter than Jake. Yeah, and Jake already beat a guy bigger and with more title defenses. So it's like, but I think Connor would be better.
Woodley's a wrestler, though.
Yeah.
So has good hands.
Connor's like pretty much
a boxer.
He's a boxer, kickboxer, and he's been doing a lot of boxing lately. I don't know, dude. I'm glad Jake won, because I want to keep seeing, bruh. I'm glad Jake won, because I want to keep seeing these fights, because it's compelling.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Who would you face next if you were Jake Paul?
Tyron. I think it's easy money. Or it's like you know what you're getting into. It's like, oh, I just have to train for the same opponent I've been training for, and I already beat him. And it honestly, it didn't look like Jake or Tyron tried that hard. It just looked like Jake he played the game better.
Had more pressure, I think, and
he was moving backward the whole fight.
Oh, really?
Tyron was pressing forward.
That's true.
But he just didn't do anything with it. Jake just was basically moving backward and hitting him. That's the thing. We didn't even see Jake really land a punch on his front foot. He was all moving backward and still socking the shit out of him. So I don't know. Do you think the judges were tweaking?
Yeah, that one judge, obviously.
Which one?
The one gave it to Tyron.
Yeah.
I mean,
Logan even called him out.
Well, of course Logan would.
Yeah.
I mean, no way Tyron actually thinks he won that fight.
Yeah, I don't know how you... But, John Manimal said he thought Tyron won.
Oh, really?
He thought it was 5-3. And I'm like, how, bruh?
Well, that's weird, because Ben Askren said the same thing. Maybe it's just like that hardcore MMA guys are like.
Maybe it's grapplers.
I mean,
John's a
maybe I
grappler.
need to rewatch it.
Yeah,
To
we
be
probably
honest,
should.
I'd probably come in a little closer than I think
I just
after we watch it. I'd probably be like, give Tyron like 3 rounds.
well, Tyron like I don't know if they scored it as this, but that when he punched Jake and Jake went into the ropes, that should have been a knockdown.
Yeah, easily.
And Jake didn't have a knockdown.
I mean, think about it though. If this was MMA, Tyron would have messed him up the first round.
Well, yeah. That's why it's not MMA.
Like if in the cage, if he would have hit him like that and he would have fallen to the ground, and then it would have just been a wrap.
With Yeah, true.
So
Do you think Jake Paul is like actually reviving boxing?
yeah, I do.
Like
we wouldn't watch any boxing. We don't really watch much boxing unless he's fighting.
right. I honestly do cuz I was watching it and I've been watching these fights and it's like it looks kind of fun. Like I can totally see how it's getting people back into boxing and he has his like foundation. He's getting kids into boxing. His message was kind of stupid though. He's like, "I used to be a bully." And then I got bullied and then I realized it was bogus. So now boxing for bullies. I thought the judges were tweaking. I thought the guy who said Jake won. I just didn't see how it was even a split decision, but a lot of people who know more than me think differently, so, I'll go back and watch it at some point. Any final thoughts on this one? What's your takeaway?
I think it's that Jake is. You have to kind of take him more seriously now. I mean, now you can't because before that, he just fought basically bum ass strikers, like Askren. No
Nate
disrespect,
Robinson, yeah.
Nate Robinson. Like he really didn't fight anyone good at all. Now he fought Tyron. Still not a great elite boxer, but he's still like the start. He's like I'd say he's
Yeah.
the start. Like now he has to start fighting like boxers,
My takeaway is
strikers.
don't sleep on Jake as a boxer. He still needs like one opponent that's harder for me to really be like, okay, he's here to stay.
Because in my opinion, if he were to fight a skilled striker, his ass would have been knocked out yesterday.
Yeah.
Because if Woodley can do that, knock him out, knock his ass to the ground, basically. Because that was a good, he was flustered by that.
Mm-hmm. He recovered, though, which is why I respect him. He recovered and then won the rest of the rounds.
Yeah.
That's why I think, okay, he's very serious about this. And
yeah,
he
showed good.
Taken seriously.
He showed good, the ability to recover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's definitely a skilled boxer. Let's move on. Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane is reportedly being targeted for January. I'm excited for that. That's obviously like a big deal of a fight.
That's a huge fight.
Because it was weird, in my opinion, how after Francis knocked out Stipe, everybody was like, I feel like everybody in the world was kind of like, oh, he's going to be the greatest heavyweight in UFC history. Like, he's so good and athletic and powerful. And then Ciryl Gane came along, who's like a huge threat to that notion because he's also very athletic. He moves very well.
He beat Derek similar, Lewis. Body sizes.
Yeah.
And
Ciryl Gane was like playing basketball, and he's 240 pounds. And there's like videos of it, and he looks pretty good. So it's just like, okay, Derek Lewis beat Francis. I know that was a controversial fight because they barely hit each other. But Ciryl Gane beat Derek Lewis, and then Francis Ngannou's the champ. So It's compelling. I'm excited for that one. I think I don't really know.
I don't know too much about Cyril Gahn, but
Get close to the mic.
I turned the volume up.
No, don't do that. Just stay close to the mic and keep it down.
It's barely up.
Go ahead.
I still don't know much about Cyril Gahn, but I think he will put up a better fight than even Stipe.
Yeah. I
'Cause
think
I think Stipe just was off his game that night.
and I think the win against Stipe was big for Francis because he came back after he had already lost to Stipe, and it showed a lot of growth. And he pretty much pieced him up. It wasn't even a close fight. But Cyril looks like a super skilled. I mean, he doesn't look like it. He is a super skilled. He's powerful. He's built well. He's not like some fat guy like Derek Lewis. Like he's a real threat. So I think it's kind of cool because now these two are kind of. Hopefully, we'll see like a big battle for the crown over the next few years between them.
Like multiple fights?
Maybe.
I mean, he was throwing hard leg kicks against Derek Lewis.
Uh-huh.
Like, he has a lot of weapons to show against Ngannou.
Yeah. He was like laughing at Derek as he like dodged his punches. He was so
Derek
much better.
He has a really good right hand, but if it's not landing,
yeah,
he's kind of, it's hard for him to come back.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't make a prediction because I don't feel comfortable making one, but I'm just excited for that. January, that's a good month. Dude, we're stacked from October to January.
October, November. What's December?
I don't know. I'm sure they'll do
anything?
something good though.
They should do the lightweight strap, but they won't. It'll probably be like 2022.
They should though.
Just to close that. That would probably be the best year of the UFC.
If they did October 30th, that card's obviously stacked. Then they do November 6th, big card at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Then they do if they were able to get Dustin and Charles to fight in December, and then in January, Francis versus Cyril Gahn. And then I'm pretty sure that's around the time that Conor's healthy. So then you got Conor coming back into the mix.
Probably spring or summer.
But yeah, like there's a good that would be a good 7 months of great fights.
Yeah. True. I think the best card though announced so far is the November card.
That's Gaethje Chandler.
It's Usman versus Covington.
Yeah.
2, which is a good fight.
Right.
That was one of the best fights to happen ever.
Bro. And Ally Quinta just got announced on that card. He's on the main card, and he's been out for a while. That'll be interesting to see because he's been injured for a while. That'll be interesting to see if he can come back.
Yeah.
Final thoughts on Cyril versus Francis?
Just be a lot of. I'm just scared to watch that.
Yeah. Who do you think wins?
I don't know. Anyone. Both could win. It wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah.
So, I give that's a toss-up.
I hope this whole time Francis has been off, he's been working.
I think
I mean, I'm sure he has. Some news. The U.S. Athletic Commissioner calls for the Ali Act to be brought to MMA. I'll read a little bit about that. The Ali Act was a law that was enacted on boxing. It's a boxing reform act commonly referred to as the Ali Act. It's a federal law that was introduced in 1999 and enacted on May 26, 2000 by the 106th Congress to 1. Protect the rights and welfare of boxers, 2. Aid state boxing commissions with the oversight of boxing, and 3. increase sportsmanship and integrity within the boxing industry. The act amends the 1996 Professional Boxing Safety Act by expanding upon legislation against exploitation, conflict of interest, enforcement, as well as additional amendments. The act was enacted in response to widespread abuse of boxers by means of exploitation, rigged ranking, and rigged matches. I just saw a tweet about this that they're trying to get that into MMA, and it would basically like help the fighters have more control over their destiny. And because a lot of like, I think the issue is the UFC will manage the fighters, which is a conflict of interest. If the UFC has managers that manage the fighters,
Yeah.
it's like when record labels hire managers to manage their artists. It's like the managers are just going to do what's in the best interest of the employer, not the artist, or in this case, the fighter. So I think that was the issue. Well, that's one of many issues.
Did you see that Dana White got into like an argument with a reporter on ESPN about this?
No.
I didn't see all of it, but I saw that Dana White was like triggered because the just ESPN, it was just some average ESPN like Sports Center guy was kind of pushing Dana White on how the fighters are underpaid.
Yeah.
And Dana White was getting like taking it all personal.
What was he saying?
I don't really remember. Just like he was just like saying how like during the pandemic he hasn't asked his fighters to take any less pay, and like he's putting on these shows, and
I feel like
I don't
Dana,
really
like,
know, but he took it personally and was like, the reporter was like, he was basically like, all right, well, we're gonna move on, and he's like, no, we're not moving on.
was this it?
Yeah.
Let's play it. This was a year ago, but
Oh, maybe it was different then. Nah, dude, those videos suck, bro.
hold on. Trying to find it.
No, it wasn't a year ago, bro.
Oh, really?
No, it was just now. Don't look it up right now.
Whatever, yeah. I think he knows like he's gonna have to start paying the fighters more because
It's weird because it's not even his money. Like, he doesn't own the company anymore.
he runs it.
I know, but it's not like coming out of his pocket. He's on a salary. Like,
I'm sure he gets like, I'm sure he still owns part of it.
he sold all of it, his shares.
Did he sell all of them?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a public company, so I'm sure he has some.
Oh, well, before that, he
Yeah.
sold all of his, like, stake in it.
Yeah, I wonder if he's still a shareholder, but either way, like his job depends on the UFC's bottom line. But it's just crazy that they have so much power and they can just pay fighters so little. Like how are we going to get to a point where fighters get paid like boxing?
When they start generating as much revenue.
Yeah.
Like, boxing would sell like 8 million pay-per-views, like Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd.
That wasn't 8. It was like 4.6 million.
They did like 8. I'm pretty sure. Let me look it up. That's what McGregor and Pacquiao did.
Pacquiao?
No, McGregor versus Floyd, I meant.
I do remember everybody in the world was watching that fight. Floyd versus Manny. But I think boxing's a little different because the fighters have more power because it's like there's not one sanctioned
You're
body.
right. Oh, wait.
What is it?
4.6 million.
Yeah.
I'm tweeting.
That's what I said. But I think that pay-per-view was $100, so I think it generated like 400 million.
Huh. Weird.
I actually bought some of the UFC stock when it came out, but I sold it.
Why? It didn't do good?
It went up a little, and I just wanted cash, so it was just like a Robin Hood thing.
You're like the owner. You should start making these fights now.
I'm the owner. What if I just bought like a share every day, and then eventually just owned more than Dana?
Boy. This sir.
Take like 30 years.
I don't think Dana. I don't know if he owns any.
If he doesn't, then I owned more of the UFC than him at one time.
Where's Josh?
Sleeping. So yeah, big fight for or I would like to see this act done, honestly, for the UFC, just because I do want to see fighters get paid more. I want to see them have more independence. I saw something about like this part wasn't very clear to me, but like the rankings being owned by the fighters.
What do
When
you
a fighter gets ranked, they own the rank so that they can use that as leverage to make more money. Does that make sense to you?
I guess.
I think that's something they're going for. Like to own a ranking, but that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I don't
really.
either, yeah. Sean O'Malley has been in the news a lot lately, for a few reasons. I think the biggest thing that's been talked about is how he has this career strategy where he'll fight. This is like the Chael Sonnen strategy: is he'll fight the weakest guy on the highest spot on the card for the most amount of money. That's what he's doing right now. Until he starts to get paid more. He was on Logan Paul's podcast, and
Chael or Sean O'Malley?
Sean was. So Sean's following that strategy, and he said this multiple times, and it's pretty controversial because you have one side of the fans that are like, yes, get your money, like we'll watch you fight anytime, and the others, the more hardcore fight fans, it's like, nah, you need to fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. Fuck the money. Like, just say yes to all the fights. And it's like, that might be the old school way of doing things.
You think he should have fought Frankie Edgar?
I mean,
I think that was a good fight for him to take.
it was. But he's so, like, well, let's get to that in a second. Let's stay on this part really quick. What do you think about that strategy? Like, do you think it's bogus, or do you think...
I don't know. It could hold him back at one end. Like, you also want to fight bigger guys. Like, it would be bogus if, like, Jake Paul was just fighting, like, lower ranked guys this whole time. Like, you kind of want to progress the level of opponent. But I kind of understand if, like, he's not going to get paid more, then, like, fuck that. But
Yeah.
it's like, you should do it for your legacy more than the money.
I see that side. I also see the side where it's like, if I'm getting paid, if I'm like, he brings numbers, bro, and he's not getting paid what he's worth, really.
I don't know how much he really brings yet.
He brings a lot.
I don't know. I don't know how many people are buying the pay-per-view just for him.
Anybody who has a big fan base and a big name brings a lot of attention and eyes to the sport and the company ultimately. So it's like he definitely has a draw. That's why they wanted him to fight in Madison Square Garden. That's a big stage to be fighting on. That's already a huge card. So they want to bring one of the bigger names in the UFC there. I think he's one of the most famous guys in the UFC right now. And he's not even ranked yet.
I don't think so. Not one of the most. Like, there's probably 10 guys at least more famous than him.
Like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. But, like, still, if you're in the top
Almost
15,
everyone on that main card is more famous than him. More known.
I bet he's a bigger draw than Justin Gaethje.
No.
Yeah.
Cap.
Yeah.
Justin Gaethje fought for the world title.
But that doesn't mean he's a
more
bigger
people
draw.
know him.
There's champions who don't have a big draw. They're just really good. Like Stipe is not a huge draw.
But he's more famous.
Like for how little Sean has actually
Nah, I
been
think
able
you're
to
tweaking.
do.
I think you're tweaking.
Why?
Because, bro. What do you guys think? Who has a bigger draw, Stipe or Sean O'Malley?
They're gonna roast you, bro. I'm telling you.
No, they're gonna say Stipe.
Nah.
Yeah, they will.
Whatever.
Stipe, he's fought DC, Ngannou twice, DC twice, 3 times.
Okay.
He has more eyes. More people have seen him. Like, I guarantee it.
But like, if they were doing a pay-per-view
Sean
right now, who
O'Malley's-
do you think would headline? Probably Stipe. 'Cause
Stipe would.
He's more accomplished. Yeah.
Stipe would headline.
Okay. Let's say they were both doing a title fight on the
All
same
right.
card.
Let
Who
me
would
tell you
headline?
this. Who gets paid more?
Right now, Stipe,
Why?
because he's been in longer and he's more accomplished.
And he's a bigger draw.
Maybe.
They wouldn't pay the guy more if he's less of a draw,
It's like I think it's based on your social media numbers.
bro.
Like, Sean O'Malley has a bigger fan base that wants to tune in for him.
You're probably. I mean, he's growing faster.
Like,
Or he's
he's
growing-
hot right now.
He's not that hot.
Yeah, he is.
He's just hanging out with the Paul brothers. He should have knocked that guy out clean. He fought.
Well, anybody else would have been. That guy just had a good chin. I mean, there's a few guys who can just take punches like that.
He only has a few 100,000 more followers than Stipe.
Yeah, and he's growing faster. He's gonna. I genuinely think he's gonna be like the next.
I think
Huge
you're
draw that
right if he
sells a
starts
million
fighting
pay-per-views.
bigger names.
Yeah, he will, but I think it's actually smart, kind of. While you're only getting paid like 140 to fight, then you should like milk that. Because he can make more money, he can have more fights, he can build his name longer, have a longer career, and prepare, like, get more in cage experience for when he does fight these guys.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
And it's also kind of like, it's kind of cool because it's not like he cares that much about rankings. He'll fight anybody.
Not really.
He didn't want to. He
He'll
would have
fight-
fought Frankie Edgar, I
He'll
think.
fight bums.
Yeah, but he'll fight.
But
he fought.
that also thinks maybe he's not as good as we think he is
Yeah, that's the thing.
because he hasn't fought anyone good at all, and he lost to like a nobody.
Kinda. No, Cheeto Bear is not nobody,
He's not really that big anymore.
but he's He's not a nobody.
Okay.
You can't say he's a nobody. He's a
He's-
ranked guy. He's top. He's one of the top guys in that division, and that was a bogus win
Why?
because he like broke his leg basically, or broke his foot.
So to you, it's a bogus win when Sean O'Malley breaks his foot, but then when Connor does it, he's like never gonna win again. And
I
he's
don't
a
think
bum.
the way Connor lost it's not why I think he's not gonna win.
But you said he got effed up by Dustin.
In the first rematch, he did.
No,
in the second
you said the
fight-
third fight.
In the third fight, he didn't do enough to make. It's not. It's not about.
You were too critical of Connor's loss, and then like you also follow what anybody says.
Not true.
You agree with Sean
Who?
O'Malley.
Okay.
You agree with Shale.
Okay. Not on everything.
Basically, you just
No.
copy and paste what he says.
No. I'll reference him when I'm saying stuff.
Stop capping, bro.
No.
Stop.
I
Capping.
don't, bro. You're just a Connor fanboy.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm
You
not.
want him to be on top. I don't
want him to do anything.
I don't think his loss is necessarily why I'm not.
You're a Jake Paul fanboy. You guys should have seen him watching this Jake Paul fight. He was such an anti-Tyron. You should be if you're an MMA guy, you should have rooted for Tyron.
I just like fights, bro. I'm not defining myself.
Cap.
I'm like
Inside
I'm a
MMA.
fight binary.
What is inside MMA? It's not inside fighting. It's inside MMA.
Okay, well, Tyron Woodley is an MMA fighter.
Exactly.
So that's why we
So
talk.
you should have.
Mixed martial arts
You sh-
includes boxing.
You should have.
I want to talk to fucking wrestlers too.
I'm saying you should have. You should have been rooting for Tyron, the true mixed martial artist.
Okay.
If you're a true MMA guru.
Do you root for everybody? Who like do you always root for people in fights?
No.
Okay. You don't have to.
You were
root
rooting for
anybody.
Jake Paul.
I want to see Jake Paul win because I want to keep seeing him fight.
Yeah, but when he pins the MMA community against the boxing community.
He's not really. He's like,
bro, that's his whole thing.
Bro, his whole thing is calling out Dana White for not paying fighters.
His whole thing is pinning a whole community against the boxing community.
Dude, it's not.
You said that the other day.
It's not pinning one community.
He's pinning. It's him versus MMA.
Yeah, no, it's him versus.
Bro,
what do you mean him versus MMA?
That's
like
what
he fights MMA fighters.
Yes.
So.
That's what his whole stick.
But it's compelling.
But it's still a stick.
It's not him versus the sport of MMA.
Yes, it is.
It's not like he's trying to take down the sport.
That's what he's doing.
No, it's not.
Yes.
Because if he was trying to take down the sport, why would he be advocating for them to get more money? Why would he be paying?
Because
he's
trying to take down Dana White too.
No, he's trying to get attention and fight.
No, he's pinning it.
It's always compelling.
Dude, everyone knows this.
Was it
everyone
Floyd
knows
trying
this.
to take down MMA when he fought Conor?
He's talked very poorly about MMA.
Okay, that's stupid.
I know.
Because MMA is a bit more like.
He's talked very poorly about MMA in the past.
Was it Conor versus boxing when he fought Floyd?
Partially, yes. He made that about that because he said it's a limited area of mixed martial arts and it's not true fighting.
Okay. I don't think Jake is trying to take down MMA.
I'm not saying taking it down. He's not going to try
Robinson.
to end MMA, bro.
Trying to end?
He's not trying to end MMA. That's not what I'm saying.
I just said
he's pinning the MMA community against himself.
Okay.
That's my point.
That makes more sense.
He's not trying to take down, like, run the UFC into bankruptcy or something.
Okay. That makes more sense when you put it like that.
That's what his whole thing.
Like getting the MMA community riled up against him.
Yes.
But also advocating for fighter pay.
Well, that's more a dig at Dana White.
Yeah, but it's
than
all
anything.
Related.
I don't really think he cares that much, like on a personal level.
Well, he did take out $1 million of his pay to give to the fighters on his card.
Well, that was boxing.
So, I mean, yeah, but it's still like he's showing that. I mean, he's letting the money talk. He's paying people who are not getting a lot of money.
I know.
Out of his own pocket. It's not like it's just extra money lying around. So, that's cool. Do you think we got off topic here?
I got to go soon.
Sean turned down the New York fight with Frankie Edgar.
Mistake.
Explain.
Frankie Edgar's a big name.
Wait. Okay.
Big name. He was a UFC champ. And he's not really as lethal anymore. So it fits like it's not a huge dangerous fight for him. I'd say he probably wins that fight, and it's a huge name to add to the resume.
But would you sacrifice the New York taxes, having to travel? Also, I think he said he had plans with his coach for his coaches tournament that day.
Bro, what a fuck.
Like, so if
who cares about that?
But he was basically like, I just think it's interesting because, like, you know how in the NBA players have a lot of control.
It's not always about the money, bro.
No, hold on. Fucking Jesus, bro. You know how in the NBA that shit shows up in the audio. You know how in the NBA...
I gotta go soon.
I know. You know how in the NBA it's become a thing where players have more mobility and control and they do what they want versus like what the team wants more. Like LeBron building super teams, KD going to the Warriors. Like there's all this player mobility,
Yeah.
which didn't happen like in the 90s or the 2000s as much.
Okay. What's your point?
I think Sean is exercising that, but in the UFC. Like he basically turned down the fight because he's like, I don't want to fight in New York, pay the New York taxes. I live near Vegas. I just want to fight in Vegas. There's a fight in Vegas the next month. Why don't you sign me for that fight? And they just didn't want to do it. The UFC is like trying to like force. If you don't do what the UFC wants, they basically stiff arm you. But Sean O'Malley, because he's such a draw and has such a name and brings him so much money, he can do those things. So he's exercising that, which I think is kind of cool because there's only a few guys who can do that. And if you can, you should.
Yeah, but you got to remember that without the UFC, he's nothing, too. If he stopped fighting now, his career would end shortly. Like, he wouldn't be as famous in, like, 5 years.
Maybe.
He's got to keep fighting. He has to pick big guys. It's a huge card. It's a huge win. Like, who cares if you have to pay, like, more taxes? Like, it's really... The way he fights, he doesn't get damaged. Like, you can fight again in, like, 3 months. I'd say you got to take that fight. It's, like, a really big milestone for you to beat someone like Frankie Edgar.
It would be cool.
Especially on that big of a card.
Yeah.
Like Madison Square Garden. It's not like Conor like said like, nah, I'm not fighting on Madison Square Garden. I don't want to pay those taxes. It's like, nah, he wanted that double champ. And it was more about the legacy. Like, if he's in it, if he's truly thinks he's in it for the long haul, the taxes on that fight won't matter. You know, I think it's like a stupid.
I kind of feel you. It is kind of like, if you look at it that way, he does like kind of look
Like,
bitchy.
who the hell is he gonna fight? Name a bigger fight for him to have.
Right now.
Like the next month. Some nobody in Vegas, like on a. Like, what? That's like stupid.
It's kind of like, it seems like he likes fighting nobodies. It's like he's not in a rush to.
Like, I would want to start fighting for the strap by now. Like, McGregor would have been fighting for, like... He would have fought, like... Like, if you look at the superstars that have gone through the UFC, they always fight bigger and better names till they get to the top.
Mm-hmm. It is funny, too, because it's like, you turn down that fight against a guy that would get you in that higher ranking.
You'd probably get ranked by then.
And then... You're like partying with 6ix9ine, going on Impulsive, like partying all the time. Like that's like what he's been doing.
Partying so hard.
And it's like, it looks like you're just kind of like enjoying the life instead of like taking it seriously. He even said like his training is suffering from his fighting.
His training is suffering from his fighting?
I'm sorry, his partying. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he said he barely has trained since his last fight.
Yeah, because he said like you drink Friday, Saturday, you recover Sunday. Monday, you're still not fully recovered from the weekend, but you start training, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, you start to get in the swing of things. You know, by the time you're starting to get into a rhythm, it's Friday, and you're partying. You're not training Saturday. You're not training Sunday. You're barely training Monday.
And the weird part is he hasn't fought anyone good. I mean, relatively speaking.
It's like he's getting all the fame and like fortune and clout before he's done anything.
I think it could be a recipe for a disaster.
It could be.
If he keeps doing it. Because, like, the last time he fought, he did the same thing. Like, he's just a party guy. And, like, any fighter who's gone, like, done really well, been really successful, they don't do that on the come up. They do it when they're, like, made. They party and enjoy themselves and indulge it. Like, Dustin still really doesn't party. And he's like one of the best fighters. Like,
yeah, he's like a disciplined family man entrepreneur.
Like Conor didn't start partying until like he was double champ and was like fighting Mayweather for like $100 million.
Yeah.
Like he was disciplined, you know. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, it is curious. All right, Zach had to dip, but we still have a little bit of podcast left, so I'm just gonna cover this stuff really quick. Um, Recently, Gable Steveson has been in the news after he won the U.S. gold medal in wrestling at his weight. He's been in talks with UFC, Bellator, and PFL, but he's also considered fighting, or I don't even know if you could call it fighting, but performing in WWE. And even the NFL has expressed interest in him because he's just that big of a guy and he's that athletic. Personally, I hope he does come to the UFC because he would be in good company. The only other gold medalist wrestler to have ever fought in the UFC was Henry Cejudo, who was a double champ. Fortunately for us, Gable Steveson did say that he sees MMA as inevitable, and even if he does another sport first, he'll probably end up coming to MMA. But he did express his full-time focus has been wrestling because he's still a college wrestler. That's the cool thing. So I want to give some of my thoughts on Gable Steveson. I hope he does come to MMA. I think he has a lot of promise there. He kind of reminds me of like, for anybody who paid attention to basketball in the past few years, he kind of reminds me of like Zion Williamson for basketball. That's how Gable Steveson reminds me. Obviously, there's more hype for Zion, but I think the MMA community is such a niche community compared to basketball that we can still make that comparison because Gable Stevenson's getting enough buzz in the MMA news cycle. Um, I think it would be cool if he did come to the UFC. But I think a good path for him could also be fighting in WWE, building up his name there because they have a way of building superstars in the WWE that um, could be beneficial because then he doesn't have to take the damage that fighters take when they fight in real pro MMA fights. So he could kind of build his superstar name over there, but on the side, full time do training for MMA. So when he does come, he comes to heavyweight and he's a stud. He's obviously already a stud at wrestling. He's a gold medalist, so I guess you could say he's the best wrestler in the world at his weight. And it would be really cool if he developed some other skills, built his name in the WWE, and then came to the UFC. But I also think it would be cool if he came to the UFC first. But when you're a guy that's that hyped up and popular, and there's all this pressure on you, and you're so promising, you don't want to blow that. Like for example, Zion Williamson. To keep that comparison alive, Zion Williamson basically like he didn't. There was all this talk about should he even play in college anymore because we already know he's gonna go to the NBA and make a ton of money. And obviously he kept playing and he kept trying to win a national championship. But if he like had gotten injured, which I think he did actually, he did get injured in his rookie year, but if he had like had a career-ending injury before he made all that money, then it would have sucked. And you can kind of you can play it safe if you're Gable Steveson by going to do something else that's less risky to the body while you build up your name even more. And then by the time you're ready to come to the UFC or Bellator or wherever he goes, he can really cash in on his name and be a fighter that can compete with top guys, which would be super interesting. So where do you guys think he should go? Let us know in the comments. It'll be super interesting to see how his career plays out, but I definitely think he has the hype train behind him, and if he does come to the UFC, he's going to get that big push. But yeah, hopefully he ends up here. Lastly, we're going to talk about Paddy Pimblett. Paddy Pimblett is a 16-3 pro mixed martial artist. He's actually 0-0 in the UFC. He's a recent signee. He's going to debut at Fight Night 191 after declining 2 UFC offers in the past. He's come in. He's been in the media. He's talking big. He said some notable things like he wants to put Dana in a headlock. He's definitely getting that push from the UFC. He was a Cage Warriors champion. He's from Liverpool. My thoughts on him are he looks super entertaining. He looks like he has like all the ingredients to be a star, and it's obvious that the UFC sees that because he's been all over the news. He's definitely getting that media push. There's articles about him. He's been in the freaking um, press conferences. He was already big in Liverpool, doing Cage Warriors. He was a lightweight champ in Cage Warriors, so it should be interesting to see him come in. He's got a funky ass haircut. I'm excited to see how this plays out. Well, I think I'm gonna watch his first fight. I want to see how that goes. He's got some mad fucking jujitsu skills. He armbarred a few people in his highlight reel. He can do crazy shit. So it'll should be interesting at 155. You got a lot of young up and comers at 155 that are studs, and it's just adding fuel to that 155 fire, because there's already so much great competition there. So, um, yeah. Thanks for watching episode 6 of the Inside MMA podcast. More to come. Thank you guys for your support. We'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.